Chapter 5, Episode 10. Reuniting with Juliana and a new school year. Late September. Using spices purchased at the St. Fleuve Grand Market in abundance, Pharma was holding its annual outdoor secret curry party to which pharmacy staff, customers, and related parties were invited. This year's open party was again held on the riverbank, but this time the number of people invited had increased to a scale that made it no longer a secret. Farmer tried to invite her, but she declined because she did not like spicy food, which was a relief to her. The participants would shrink away if the Empress were to attend, and it would not be a meeting to express their gratitude for the hospitality of the people. Moreover, the ball planned for after the meal would not be a casual affair, but a more prestigious Le Grand Bal, the Emperor's Grand Bal, and there would probably be many people who could not dance because they did not know how to do it. However, to their relief, instead of the Empress not coming, Prince Louis was sent on the day of the ball. Since the prince, whom the common people could not see, came to the party, there were a few regular guests here and there who tried to score points by entertaining the prince. However, the prince's surroundings were not allowed to approach the escort but, "Welcome, Your Highness. I hope our food was to your liking." Pharma greeted the prince, who was mindlessly tucking into his curry. The regular customers were surprised to see Pharma exchanging words with the prince in such a friendly manner. But they seemed to realize that even the prince of a great empire was a patient of Pharma's. "I can't believe that we are also being treated by such a medicine man." They were so proud of themselves. He was very proud of himself. "Yes, I like it. I'm going to take the Medici's cook home with me." "Oh, it's your favorite food, isn't it?" "Oh, he loves curry, doesn't he? Kids love curry." "Good," Pharma thought, and sent a curt response. "That's a problem," he said. "What should we do with our dinner today if the cook is gone?" "Ha ha, just kidding." Seeing Pharma's weak face, the prince seemed to be filled with self-esteem. After serving appetizers, a main course of curry, numerous hors d'oeuvres, and sweets, the orchestra plays and the ball begins. Pharma wondered if she should invite Ellen, as she had done last year, but Ellen was in the middle of a loud fight with Pal. Perhaps he was hungry, or perhaps he was in the middle of a Shinto battle on the riverbank. "I guess I have to make a lot of things clear today. That's our line. Wave your wand instead of moving your mouth. I'll get you all wet." "Oh, for heaven's sake. Oh, please, both of you, the prince is in attendance." Pharma put up a barrier of ice between them and the guests. The prince and the guests must not get soaked in the battle between the two water diviners. "I wonder why they are so quick to show each other how good they are together or not. The two of them are very good friends. The other one's cheeks are puffed up like a squirrel because she ate too much chocolate for dessert. Mahakahitioko Rahiru. She was in such a bad state that I could not understand what she was saying. I don't want chocolat, but maybe I can invite Lot this year." Last year, Pharma had not been able to invite Lot because she did not know how to dance Baroque dance, but this year, she wondered if she could invite Lot. I invited her and she was overjoyed and said, "Thank you very much. Hahin hefuka, my cheeks are happy too." I said I was very happy, didn't I? "Would you like to play with me, miss?" "Miss?" When Pharma asked her to dance, as is her custom, Lot turned bright red and looked up at her face with her hands. "Hey," I said, "by all means, didn't I?" She put her mouth away and happily accepted Pharma's escort. She was so happy to be escorted by Pharma. It was worth it for Eleanor-sama to teach me during lunch breaks at the pharmacy and such." This year, Lot had learned Baroque dance under Ellen's special training. After the folk dance Liken, which was performed in a circle in the dance space, the orchestra began to play a pair dance minuet. The menuetto is a dance danced by several pairs, and it is a court dance with strict formations, which can be ruined if even one dancer is not good enough or makes a mistake in the steps. However, the composition of the dances was such that anyone could dance them, and they were all well known and well liked. "You're good, Lot." Pharma smiled, holding Lot's hand as she danced with light steps and twirls. It was hard to believe that this was Lot's first time dancing on an official stage. It shows the results of her daily practice. It's like a dream come true to be matched by Pharma-sama. I never thought so. Then who were you planning to dance with? No way. Lot was so upset that she stumbled, so Pharma gently put his hand around her waist to catch her before she could fall. Oh, thank you. By the time the song was over, Ellen and Per were done with their fruitful fight. They were both exhausted, so they were carried to their respective residences by stretcher and carriage. I was so sorry, said Ellen. Per, you're not taking it easy on me at all. The next day, Ellen, who had played with Pal so well that it was almost refreshing, came to work with her whole body stiffened. There is no such thing as going easy on my brother. Pharma replied with a real sense of reality. He would take it easy on his patients, but Polly had no mercy on women and children either. Oh, my body is like a stone. At a time like this, Juliana's divine massage would help me unwind. I wonder when she's going to come visit me again. I wonder if Juliana will ever come back here. The Pope is the name of the goddess of mercy, who is the most powerful person in the world. It was about time to send a prompt to the priests in the imperial capital. He said, you don't have to sound so serious. She's busy with her own affairs, isn't she? Ellen put her glasses back on and said, you're exaggerating. Master Pharma, you want to see Juliana, don't you? I miss her so much, I wish I could meet her too. Tilda. Lot rubs Ellen's shoulder instead of Juliana and misses her. The pharmacy staff doesn't know what's going on, because they just think that Juliana has returned to her country. I'm getting worried. You didn't have a bad experience in the Holy Land, did you? I wonder if she didn't get into any trouble at the temple because of her support for Pharma, and I wonder if she made it back to the Holy Land safely. Phalma, who was concerned about various things, decided that there was no way out of this, so she wandered over to the temple in the imperial capital. The temple was in an uproar as the target of his surveillance arrived unannounced, and the chief priest Colm responded while trying to maintain his composure. Pharma did not go inside the temple, but called the chief priest outside and told him his business. He said, good afternoon. I would like to contact Ms. Juliana, who is supposed to be in the Holy Land, but no matter how many times I have sent her a letter, I have not received a reply. Could you please inquire from the chief priest? He said, well, God of medicine. What do you want with her? At the mention of Juliana's name, Coombe became overtly suspicious. Seeing her flustered appearance, Pharma became more and more suspicious and asked firmly, what do you want? I was wondering if you had properly delivered to the High Priestess what I had entrusted to her. I want to make sure that Juliana has properly handed over the divine power contained in the treasured sword to the High Priestess, Pharma said. I would also like to ask her to perform a massage. If you are looking for a masseuse, there is one in the Imperial Temple who is good at it. I would like to appoint Ms. Juliana. I would like to appoint Ms. Juliana. I would like to appoint Ms. Juliana. Pharma was adamant, but he was too insistent on Juliana. Well, you want a special massage, don't you? The priests were whispering, that thing is good for you, I see. It was extremely rude. No, sir. It's like you're asking for a girl from that side of the world. The strange inquiry made the atmosphere more delicate, but since he could not back down from the question of Juliana's safety, Pharma strode over and placed his hand on the outer wall of the temple. What is it? What is the matter? This outer wall is made of the same material as the Great Temple, isn't it? Yes, it is. Coombe looked at Pharma, who had his hand on the magnificent outer wall. Pharma concentrated on his right hand while looking at Coombe. Erase the calcium carbonate. When Pharma used his erasing ability, the main ingredient, calcium carbonate, disappeared from the material of the outer wall, and the temple enclosure evaporated in an instant. What have you done? Coombe trembled at Pharma's casual threat. Unaware of Pharma's ability to create and erase matter, Coombe assumed that he had destroyed the wall using a secret technique unique to a guardian deity. Solomon had said that the Great Temple was made of a single material that had been divinely engineered to absorb divine power. If it is made of a single material, then what? It can be erased. Falma thought and did just that. I heard rumors that the Great Temple has dozens of levels underground. Falma asked, with a blank look on her face. What would happen, then, if all the floors of the Great Temple were to fall out? All the priests in the Holy Land would fall dozens of meters and slam into the lowest level the moment Pharma used his technique, and they would die instantly without a fight. Corm snorted and nodded. I could get to the Holy Land in an hour if I wanted to. I'll call the Holy Land and see what I can do. A few days later, flanked by 2 priests, a woman was brought before the otherworldly pharmacy. Although she was wearing a veil and her face could not be seen clearly, Pharma knew immediately who it was. Apparently, the Holy Land had succumbed to Pharma's threats and offered Juliana to her. The Holy Land is a bit of a jerk, isn't it? Pharma was happy to see her again, thinking, Juliana, I hope you are well. Juliana, how are you? Come inside. Oh my gosh, it's not Juliana. Ellen is very welcoming. Ellen is very welcoming. She would probably like to have a masseuse. However, from Pharma's point of view, Juliana looked gaunt. The priestess who accompanies her sits in a corner of the store, watching to see if she escapes. When we are done talking, I will send her safely back to the temple. When Pharma implicitly tried to brush them off, the priests shook their heads from side to side. The priests shook their heads and said, We will be waiting for you, so please do not hesitate to speak with us. Oh, I see. The priests were waiting for them and would be happy to talk with them. She asked, Do you have enough divine power to move some gears? As soon as she heard this, Pharma saw tears slowly welling up in Juliana and decided to move the place upstairs to the examination room for the infected quarantine patients. The priests clucked their tongues when they could no longer overhear what was being said, but they didn't care. You'll be safe here, he said. There are no windows and the room is soundproofed so no one downstairs can hear us. Pharma opens a bottle of juice and asks Juliana a question as she offers her a drink. Thanks to Master Pharma's divine power, I have succeeded in rewinding the gears of clamping for 175 years. That's most satisfying. Pharma was relieved to hear that Juliana had been able to accomplish her goal. But I was naive and stupid. I was naive and stupid, Juliana confided. The high priest is not going to discuss the matter with Pharma and is going to seal him in the basement of the high temple. For this reason, he is hurrying to develop a more powerful divine sealing technique. That Pharma is in imminent danger. Juliana spoke with regret. I see. You spoke well. But don't worry. I'm not going to be sealed up so easily, no matter what they can do. I'm not that stupid. And I've been given the treasured sword again. I'm not that stupid. The most important thing to remember is that you should never be afraid to be honest about it. Then I noticed that under her veil, which was overhead, there was a mark on her face as if she had been punched in the face. Not only on her face, but bruises were visible on her body as well. Pharma immediately patched Juliana up. I think you're in worse trouble than I imagined. I said I would help you, so why would I? The High Priestess seems to be convinced from the start that guardian deities and humans cannot talk to each other and cannot be trusted. Sure, I threatened to destroy the temple, but that's not the same thing. Sure, I threatened to destroy the temple, but that's not the same thing. Pharma was having a headache. By the way, how did you come to be in charge of getting divine power from me, who is considered to be unintelligible? The reason is that Juliana is a cardinal priest, in other words, a priest higher than Solomon, who was an inquisitor, but her divine power is not as good as Solomon's. So Pharma wonders. He wondered if it was a good idea to entrust the treasured sword to her and have her pick up chestnuts from the fire. He wonders if the temple is that short of talent. He says, because I was chosen as the one who received the revelation of the wheel of clamping. Since then, I have received special education as the chosen one. What were the revelations like? Several times I have seen the world distorted and invisible gears appear. Many times, too. Other times I've had convulsions all over my body and been in a state of possession. I think I was discovered because I have that kind of constitution. Hey. Pharma pondered a bit at the unexpected words. Then, although he did not think it was possible, he asked her. After the revelation, do you get any intense headaches? For a few hours at most. Juliana rolls her eyes. I did, without fail. The priests said that was the very revelation from the patron goddess. The most important thing to remember is that you can't just go to a doctor and ask for help. And also epilepsy. Pharma told her with such weakness that she almost fell down on the examination table. I'm sure a third party who sees those symptoms will be spouting stories of divine or demonic possession, Pharma lamented. As far as Juliana's condition is concerned, it seems to have subsided. The flare-ups are the aura symptoms of a migraine headache, she said. When the blood vessels in the brain constrict and then dilate, affecting the visual cortex, you see flickering gears, whirlpools, and distorted space. It's not a mystical phenomenon, it's a physiological phenomenon that can happen to anyone, but Juliana must have a bad migraine. Juliana's head tilted up and down, unable to understand what Pharma was saying. Does that mean that anyone can see them? If that's the case, that gear. I saw it many times when I was a kid. But now you see it less and less, don't you? And epilepsy is a state of agitation of the brain, not possession or anything like that, but that's not there now either, is it? The flashing lights may go away as the child grows older. So does epilepsy. If you are suffering from it now, I can prescribe medication to prevent it. Oh, I didn't know that. I never thought I would have to ask my patron god to tell me that you are not the chosen one. Juliana had a complicated look on her face. The training and hard work of being the chosen one is all but lost. But she also looked refreshed. I've got it off my chest, she said. I'm glad to hear that. Are there other girls like you? Basically, to become a cardinal priest, one must have excellent skills in the divine arts, but there are several others who have become cardinal priests under circumstances like Juliana's. But that does not mean that Juliana will become a temple priest again. That said, there is no telling what kind of punishment awaits Juliana if she is returned to the temple again. She has learned too much about the secrets of the cardinal office. Are you willing to leave the Holy Land and become an imperial citizen? How nice it would be. If I could, but it is not easy to give up one's nationality, much less be killed if one leaves the Holy Land. I see. I'll take care of it then. With that, Pharma went downstairs and walked in a straight line toward the priests. The priest stood up to see if the conversation was over. We will take Juliana into custody, so please take her back to the Holy Land. She wishes to remain in the Empire. The priests were taken aback. The priests were amused. Then they were confronted with a hardline stance and were at a loss for words. What are you saying? She is a priestess and a subject of the Holy Land. Pharma, however, was not intimidated. She had numerous bruises and scars on her body. She is a refugee, then. Cedric, according to international law and the Convention for the Protection of Refugees, she is a refugee, isn't she? According to international conventions, if a person is found to be persecuted, he or she may not be returned to a country where his or her life or freedom is threatened. Cedric, who knows nothing about the situation, responds immediately in light of the law. Cedric's mind was completely filled with imperial and international law, and he was truly a living dictionary. Ellen, who was listening to the conversation, immediately sensed Juliana's plight and joined in, saying, I thought the Holy See had also signed international treaties. The priests were helpless and insisted, but Pharma stubbornly refused to produce Juliana, so they had no choice but to leave empty-handed. Juliana renounced her Holy Land nationality and was recognized as a refugee. The Holy See protested that this was unjust. But Pharma took the initiative and took photographs of the scars on Juliana's body. and had a doctor from a third country neutral to the empire in the Holy See diagnose her and write a report so she would not agree to extradition. Thanks to Pharma's efforts to contact the Empress, a week later he was granted imperial status and given generous protection at the palace. When Juliana saw Solomon in the palace, she looked as if she had met a ghost. "But the great temple is a shame," she said. "It would be better to expel it from the imperial capital." The Empress was indignant when she heard of Juliana's situation and the fact that Pharma had been attacked by Juliana. The truth is that it is not possible since she is in control of the divine arts. Solomon responds to the Empress. The reason why countries other than the sacred states, including the empire, are unable to strongly challenge the temple is that the sacred states have a monopoly on the art of opening and closing the divine vein. And if the priests disappear, none of the newborns of that year will be able to use the divine arts. Even if only the imperial capital were expelled, the empire is vast. If all the temples throughout the empire were to be pulled up at once, the empire would become powerless at once. In fact, in the past, countries that had abandoned the sacred arts in the face of the Holy Land were quickly weakened and overrun by other countries, and they were forced to submit to the Holy Land once again. But now the empire has a cardinal priest who knows the secrets of the temple's cardinal offices, who have been bound by spells and unable to betray the temple. Turned in with the unraveling of the Pharma, and it has Solomon, a former inquisitor of the Inquisition who knows the whole system of the divine arts. With 2 cards in her hand, the Empress decided that the time to move was now. "Solomon, Juliana, I give you secret orders." The secret order from the Empress to the 2 former priests. They were to honor the patron goddess, abolish false rites, create a practical orthodox religion in accordance with the original doctrine of the temple, and train talented diviners to become priestesses. "The patron god is ours, and we will no longer allow the Holy Land to do as it pleases." If the Holy Land were to learn of this, it could be used as an excuse to call for the defeat of the empire on an international scale. Unbeknownst to Pharma, the new semester at the Imperial College of Medicine in St. Fleuve was finally underway. Pharma put on a ceremonial university-designated professorial square cap and a robe with the faculty emblem in gold work. Ellen squealed and took a picture. "I'm sure she's just trying to be funny." "No, it's not. It looks good on you, Professor Pharma. I bet that undersized academic gown is custom-made." "I'm sure it's custom-made." "It's not my entrance ceremony, so how many pictures are you taking?" "How many pictures are you taking?" "What's an entrance ceremony?" "Graduation is a big ceremony." "I see. I see. We don't have an entrance ceremony, do we?" Ellen laughed. Ellen laughed. Japanese people senses that the entrance ceremony is a big affair, but Pharma recalled that there are almost no entrance ceremonies in Europe and the United States. This is because the timing of the entrance ceremony varies. When Ellen and I went to the main auditorium at the designated time, the students had already begun to gather. Since Pharma was on the faculty side, she went up on the stage with the other professors and took her assigned seat. The university bell rang on time, the national anthem was played, and Bruno took the podium to deliver the president's address. The students stand as the vice president reads the names of all admitted students. The first class of students is Faculty of Medicine 30, Faculty of Pharmacy 20, 30 students from the School of Comprehensive Medicine and Pharmacy, 20 students from the School of Clinical Laboratory Medicine. These are the first 100 students of the St. Fleuve Imperial College of Medicine. You are hereby admitted. The representative of the Imperial College of Medicine, Emmerich Bauer, is hereby admitted. The young man who nervously received the letter of admission from Bruno was a familiar student of Pharma. That kid was the head of the pharmaceutical department. That boy was the head of the pharmaceutical department. He was the top student at the Faculty of Pharma. On the day of the announcement of his acceptance, he had refused to attend Pharma's lecture, saying, "I didn't hear anything about being taught by a child." I am glad that such a brilliant student didn't lose his temper and get expelled from the school. Afterwards, a ceremony was held to present him with his belt, which traditionally has the emblem of the faculty engraved on it, although he does not wear a uniform. The students, who had passed the difficult entrance examinations, were moved to receive their belts, and they were clutching them with deep emotion. This year, at Pharma's strong request, a special selection quota was made available for commoner students who are not able to use the divine arts. The deans of the faculties will give their greetings. The deans of the faculties will each give their greetings. It was now time for the deans of the faculties to greet each other. Of course, Pharma also had to make a speech. Pharma felt elated.